Could end of series Yuji defeat Teen Gojo? Let's talk about it, but spoilers beware. All right, shout out to Gravity for asking me about this, and he does specify that we are taking Teen Gojo before the Toji fight, which means this Gojo has no RCT, no reversal red, no hollow purple, and no domain expansion. So we're putting that Gojo against the monster that is end of series Yuji, who not only has Sukuna's curse technique shrine, but also blood manipulation. He does have reverse curse technique and an easier path to that through blood manipulation, and he does have a domain expansion. So can this Yuji beat that Gojo? Honestly, I don't think so. I still gotta give this to the honored one, because regardless of how much Yuji has in his arsenal, I still think Gojo's infinity is the biggest factor here. Because Yuji does not have domain amplification, which means his only way to bypass infinity is going to be his domain expansion. That's literally the only thing he has that can even hurt Gojo. And yes, this version of Gojo doesn't have his own domain to combat Yuji in that way, but we know that Gojo has anti-domain techniques, and Yuji will not be able to hit Gojo even in his own domain with hands and feet, right? Which means if Gojo casts Simple Domain or Falling Blossom Emotion to help against the sure hit, nothing else Yuji can do to him in there, right? Which means Gojo, just like he did against Sukuna, would be able to fight Yuji to the point where Yuji would need to drop his domain. And yes, Yuji has RCT and he has otherworldly endurance, so that's not going to be an easy thing to do, but this is Gojo we're talking about. An exhausted Gojo who was still able to somewhat keep up with a heavenly restricted user is going to be able to go bar for bar with end of series Yuji. And in this case, he was exhausted and up for 3 days straight. I'm assuming for this premise, we're going to give Gojo 100% of his stamina and cursed energy. So I think it ultimately is a battle of attrition because Yuji will be healing throughout the battle versus Gojo's cursed energy efficiency with his 6 eyes. And for that battle, I'm going with the 6 eyes. So high diff fight, but I'm going Gojo. But then Gravity also hit me with another matchup, and that was end of series Yuta versus Full Potential Megumi. And if you're not familiar with my Full Potential series, it's basically the strongest conceivable version of a character that we can think of. Like if we give them 10 years to train, right? And Gravity specifies that this version of Megumi will have Sukuna's curse technique and Maharaga totalities. So as strong as end of series Yuta is, he's a demon. I don't think he can beat a full potential version of a character, especially one where we're giving like absolutely everything we can conceive of too. So probably a high diff fight still, like that's how strong end of series Yuta is, but I gotta go Full Potential Megumi.